That's right, everybody. You are reading that right. The Acolyte's 15% audience score is embarrassing. Not for Star Wars, not for Lucasfilm, not for Leslie Headland, not for Kathy Kennedy, but for the audience who put the score on Rotten Tomatoes. That's right. The audience should be embarrassed that Star Wars is in the state that it is in. The audience should be embarrassed. That's right. You take a look right here. 84% for the critic scores, which we know that's pretty much bought right there. But when it comes to the audience score, it's currently sitting at 15% on Rotten Tomatoes. And yeah, you're going to see a lot of people say, oh, the scores don't matter on Rotten Tomatoes. You know, that goes back and forth with every single project that comes out. People sit there and say, it matters. Some people say it doesn't matter. It goes back and forth. There cannot be a consensus on whether it matters or not. But I will tell you this, the fandom has come together and said, look, Star Wars The Acolyte sucks. It sucks. It truly, truly does. But why does it suck? Well, there's a multitude of reasons why it sucks. But this contributor, Paul Tassi of Forbes, this is where this article comes from Forbes, is a special kind of idiot. All right? Because he goes on here and he tries to say that this score is embarrassing for the fans. It is embarrassing for the audience to say that it is at 15%, that it is bad. Look, the show is bad. It is terrible. He goes on, I previously reported that this started up right at release as The Acolyte quickly became the lowest audience-rated Star Wars project besides the infamous holiday special. Now its former 33% score has dipped below the holiday specials' 20% score and is all the way down to 15%. At a certain point, this is just absurd, and it says a lot more about the viewers than it does the quality of the show itself. It does not say more about the viewers than it does about the show. First off, the holiday special sucks, but let's not forget that the holiday special isn't like you can go on Disney Plus and watch it. It's not like thousands and thousands of people can go watch the holiday special. You have to be lucky enough to come across the holiday special. You have to go out and search and try and find the holiday special. It's not something that you can just easily turn on and watch. Then you can go rate on Rotten Tomatoes. Not to mention that The Acolyte was heavily promoted for months leading up to its release. This is a show that they wanted people to go and watch. This is a show that they touted as a spectacular moment for Star Wars. This is a moment that Lucasfilm and Disney, Leslie Headland and Kathy Kennedy were excited about. Well, to a certain point. You see, he continues and says, no, I'm not going to entertain a debate that this is not review bombing. It is not. Absolutely, there's going to be people who are going on there and just simply saying that it sucks because they don't like what it's done. But then again, that isn't review bombing. You see, even if you're somebody who sits there and says, I don't like the direction that Star Wars is going, that's not review bombing. That's simply saying, look, I don't like the direction that you're taking this show. That's not a review bomb. That is simply stating, I don't like the direction that this show is. I don't like the direction the show is going. Now, granted, there's a lot more to it than just the woke nature that this show is going in. He continues, a 15% is barely more than a third of the last most controversial Disney Star Wars project, The Last Jedi. Nothing is even close except the holiday special. On IMDb, it's even easier to see a full 54% of all reviews are 1 star, giving it a 3.6 out of 10. There's also how fast this happened. For instance, Ahsoka only has 5,000 reviews after being out for months, while The Acolyte has aired 3 episodes in 2 weeks and has 10,000 reviews in. Okay, 10,000 reviews is a lot of reviews in just a few weeks. But let's not act like this isn't partially Disney's fault or Lucasfilm's fault. They have pushed this show for weeks. Take a look at this. This from Variety, just a few weeks before the show came out. Lucasfilm boss Kathy Kennedy says a lot of women in Star Wars struggle with fan attacks because of fan base being so male-dominated. This just a few weeks. They attack the male audience before this show even comes out in a way to preemptively say the Acolyte is going to suck. People are going to be mad about it because it's a male-centric audience. You then have the showrunner, the person who creates the show, say, as a fan myself, I know how frustrating some Star Wars storytelling has in the past has been. I felt it myself, she said. I stand by my empathy for Star Wars fans, but I want to be clear, anyone who engage in bigotry, racism, or hate speech, I don't consider a fan. And then The Acolyte premieres June 4th on Disney. This was a marketing push for The Acolyte, this entire article on Variety. So if you want to sit there and say, if you even want to try and say like, oh, this is these reviews, negative reviews, this is a lot. Well, it starts from a few weeks before because they were attacking the fans. They were coming at the fans weeks before the show came out. So what do you expect to have happen? Now, he does go on. He does. He does continue to say some things. Why is this happening? There are a bunch of dimensions to this, and none of them are good. There's absolutely a racial and gender component to this. A clip from Amanda Stenberg about making white people cry was shared tens of thousands of times online, taken out of context. And yes, that was taken out of context. And I got caught up in it as well. That was for a movie called The Hate You Give. That was taken out of context. And it caught me. It did. But it makes sense when you see an article like that from Variety, and then you see a clip like that come out just a few days later. You start to see, things line up like that. Showrunner Leslie Headland has starred in many YouTube thumbnails lambasting the woke natures of the series, but also it allegedly breaking canon, which it does. But then he goes on, well, the main reason, it breaks canon, it doesn't break canon. No, it does break canon. Yes, we haven't seen the entirety of the show, but to this point, yes, we don't know if it breaks canon. But, you can't get mad at people for perceiving what they're doing as breaking canon. Now, when you take a look at the racial and gender component to this, I haven't seen any racial issues. Nobody has, at least nobody with any following on YouTube that at least I follow that has any real, say that matters, has said anything about race. Nobody cares about diverse casting when you do it for the right reasons. This show specifically, though, has specifically taken out the white males. And you can see it as blatantly obvious in how they've handled the few white males that have been in the first 3 episodes. And you can see how they've handled them. There's a difference there. We're not saying anything bad about the black women, the Asian characters, or anything like that. We're not saying anything bad about them. It's about how they're handling the white males in it that makes no sense. That's the area that a lot of people are questioning and saying, what's going on here? So if you want to talk about the racial issues, that's where we're questioning. Nothing else. There's really no other thing that's being questioned. If you want to talk about the other woke stuff, sure, we know that there's woke, alphabet crew stuff. We got the pronoun stuff about to come up. We know all that's coming in. We know that it's in there. And yes, there's people that do not want to see that. And it shouldn't be in Star Wars. But that's besides the point. Because the bulk of the matter, the bulk of the issues with this show is everything else. Of everything on its merits, the writing is terrible. The acting is bad. The dialogue is horrendous. The action is terrible. $180 million on this show, twice the budget of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was bad in itself, but at least it looked like it had the budget of $60 or $90 million, whatever it was. This doesn't look like it. This looks like it has the budget of like $20 million. Where is that $180 million going? And that's the problem that we're seeing. He continues, the problem is we simply have no idea if it's true, even if that's, this is the main reason for the surge since episode 3 aired, where the fans believe that the show has broken canon, destroyed the lore of Anakin Skywalker by implying that Anakin, the twins, are virgin force birth. Again, happened ruining everything. We don't know the reason. That's what he gets at there. There's also pushback about the portrayal of the Jedi as not being great, acting as space cops around. Again, yes, there are problems with how, and he gets into it here. He's pointing out the problems with the show and then saying that the audience is wrong for pointing out the problems with the show. This guy is an idiot. How is he writing for Forbes? It makes no sense. He then says the 15% score is embarrassing, not for the show, but for those review bombing. And again, it's not review bombing when he's pointing out the reasons that people are reviewing it poorly are accurate. And then he goes, I'm not even the Acolyte's biggest fan. So why are you trying to support it? The show's bad. The show is terrible. I have a feeling like he was kind of like given this assignment. They were kind of like, hey man, Disney's paying us some money to write like, something positive for the Acolyte to make it seem like the fans are review bombing. Can you write us something? That's kind of what I feel like was done here. This show, again, we knew this was going to happen. We knew weeks ago when that Variety article here came out, we knew that this was going to happen. We knew it. We knew the show was going to be bad, and we knew this is how it was going to go down. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think? Do you think this article, do you think the audiences are the ones that should be embarrassed by the Acolyte? Are we the ones that should be embarrassed by the Acolyte 15% score? Look, if it was just Rotten Tomatoes that had a bad score, but he points out that IMDb has a poor score too. It's everywhere. It's everywhere that's getting a poor score. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. With all that said, I'll talk at all of you later.